Hello, everybody. Y'all good? Everybody well? I hope so. So, you're about to listen to an interview I did with the mighty Joe Holmes back in August '95. It was a phoner, and Joe was just so cool. Talked all about Ozzy and Dave and everything. And I can't remember how, but I would later come to hang out with Joe for a while. Joe lived out in the valley out here in California. I'd go and I'd hang out and we'd go have breakfast. Then we'd go back to his music room, man, and he'd regale me with insane little guitar licks and riffs he was writing and new stuff he'd learned. And he was amazing, amazing guy. Still talk to him to this day. And yeah, man, one of the greater guitar players around, and a very sweet guy. So check it out, and I hope you dig it. Bye.
No problem.
Try to make it short and painless.
Yeah, we've been just working on amp stuff today.
Oh yeah, in what way?
Just experimenting. Going through the rigs. I got a bunch of different heads and just hearing stuff.
I see.
It was a day where they're ripping everything down, so me and my guitar tech were just going through everything and dialing everything in.
I understand. Well, that's a good place to start. Why don't we start with essentially what have you been taking out on the road with Ozzy, and how has it been working?
Yeah, I've been taking. I have a bunch of old Marshall heads.
Old meaning
like 70. I've got I think a couple of them. 3 of them I think are like 73s.
Those are like the cool years, 73s, 72s were good years, weren't they?
Yeah, so I think one's a 70 and one's a 71.
Mm-hmm.
And
these are hundreds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jose did them for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're real thick. And then I'm running 2 SD 3000s.
Right.
With delays for the delays, and I've got a Deja Vibe that I've for a couple of Ozzy's new songs. I have been using that sounds really good.
And I'm sorry, what's that called?
A Deja Vibe.
Deja, D-E-J-A.
Yeah, D-E-J-A Vibe.
Vibe.
Yeah, Mike Fuller, you know who he is?
Sounds familiar. Explain to me what is special about this.
It's cool. It's like sort of the Univibe type of sound. It's psychedelic. It's got like a chorus and
I see.
Like a tremolo, pulsating type of sound. It's really and it's pretty warm sounding.
Really.
And for a couple of Ozzy's new songs, they used, I don't know, probably like a Leslie, I think, or something like that. It sounds like in the studio. So this thing is sort of getting that psychedelic sound.
I see. Specifically, what songs are those?
I Just Want You.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a couple other on the album, but I don't know which ones we're going to do.
Right. So, I have not heard the album, so excuse my ignorance here,
yeah.
But I still like as much detail as I can get.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I'm sorry. So you have.
So yes, I got that. It's pretty simple setup. I'm using a wah, and I've got a Lexicon, a couple 41s that I love.
Lexicon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm using some old 70s Strats, like anywhere from they're 71 to 74. I've got five old Strats.
I see. So you're a Fender guy.
Yeah, and then an old Charvel, but they've got the humbuckers in there, so I could get the thick tone.
I see.
I just like those because they're dried out, and they're real. They've aged some,
mm-hmm.
and they've got those big thick maple necks, which I love.
You like maple?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have the locking nut and the whole deal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're set up like my old. I've got an old Charvel that I've had since like 1980, 81.
Mm-hmm.
And they're set up sort of, basically like that, the same radius on the neck and stuff,
I see.
I had them taken out and put jumbo frets in.
Jumbo frets. That's a big part of a lot of people's sound, because I know they use big frets, but it seems to me it makes it just maybe margin a little more difficult to play.
Uh-huh.
I mean, would you agree with that?
Harder to play with?
Well, in terms of just the jumbo frets, just that little higher profile, maybe.
For me, I mean, and I play pretty hard. I really hit the strings pretty hard. So a real strong right hand. So I kind of need them, and I get up underneath the strings.
Right.
I've been playing them for such a long time that I don't really know any different.
I see.
They feel so easy. It feels just real natural for me.
I see. I see. So, I mean, how would you describe the Joe Holmes sound then? I mean,
It's a thick, intimidating sound. It's really ballsy.
mhm.
It's really a good tone. I'm loving it. Um,
I mean, did
we're using, for like a lot of the Randy songs, "Goodbye to Romance" and stuff. I'm using, I've got a chorus that we're using for that.
what kind of chorus?
It's that half space rack, the Boss. I think it's an SE70. I'm not really sure. You know what
But it's a boss chorus.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so I use the chorus on that. So it's I don't know. The tone's really thick. It's a really fat, thick tone.
Mhm.
Real heavy sounding.
Because sometimes when you use a chorus, it tends to lighten things up a little bit.
Well, I only see. I use it on just like on like "Goodbye to Romance" on those picking parts. Like "Mama, I'm Coming Home."
Uh huh.
Like the middle section of "I Don't Know."
Right.
Just on the sections where they really used it or whatever.
Right. Right.
But as far as the rhythm sound, though, I usually don't use it on any of the the thick, heavy rhythms.
Right. So you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm one of those type of guys. I'm not even using a wireless. I plug straight into a cord.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I just love that just thick, straight, that ballsy Marshall tone.
Can you really hear a difference? Is a wireless as opposed to going with the cord?
A long time ago, I just tried using a wireless, and I've been using. I don't know. When you've just been using a cord and you're just used to that sound, I'm just really. And then you don't really have to worry about. I don't. It's just real reliable for me. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, what is it like? I mean, I've read. I know that you were a Randy fan here. I mean, what is it like to play a Randy Rhoads song? I mean, do you try to interpret in your own mind, this is maybe what Randy will be playing now, or this is what I'm going to do, or I'm going to try to copy exactly what Randy did? I mean, what goes through your head?
I'm trying to. Well, I took lessons from Randy. You knew that, right?
I read about that.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
I was like 16 years old, 16 to 17, 16, and he was my biggest influence. I mean, he was. You'll take lessons from different people, and everyone's got a different formula. And he was a guy that, I went to him, and he really put it in a way that made it real easy for a guy, to understand. A kid learning to really understand. He put it in just a really. He just had a great system of teaching.
I understand.
Real nice guy, real patient, and so I took lessons from him. So I never really learned the. He showed me, like, I'm learning the songs now, and he showed a lot of the stuff I'm learning. I'm going, God, he showed me that pattern, and you'll remember most of it.
Yeah, right.
So it's pretty. It's a trip doing that because I always, his vibrato and stuff. I feel real comfortable with his. I love his style. He was my biggest influence. So.
Because at that time, was he doing anything at that early age yet?
Yeah, you know what? It was like he was.
Was the Quiet
Riot
that was already happening by then?
And then he took Then he went to Ozzy, and I got to take a few more from him when he came back from doing records, and he was on breaks. But he was. I mean, that was my. So now when I'm learning the songs, it's funny. I just got a tape of a couple weeks ago of the King Biscuit Flower Hour. Have you ever heard that one?
Sure. I know of it. I don't know if I've heard it specifically though.
He played great on that. So like Mr. Crowley, I'm going in between that and like the tribute record. I've learned like in between both of those.
Right.
And those solos are so good that you by me trying to even playing different, it's kind of I like to go up there and like we did a show the other night, and a lot of people were saying when I talked to like kids after their that they really the Randy stuff, I was really real authentic, I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to do it,
right.
His vibe and his whole style.
I understand. Way. I mean, that must make you feel good. I mean,
it makes me feel great. It's really even playing the songs, it's really for me, it's an honor to be playing them, just to be doing,
It's a pretty funny way how life goes in circles,
It's really weird, It's very strange. It's those two albums were a big part of when growing up, the two Blizzard of Oz records, and then here I'm playing a lot of it. It's like wow.
The first two Ozzy records.
Yeah.
So I mean, you would listen to those and play along with it and say, "Oh, he kind of showed me this bit. Let me try it here."
There'd be little parts in there that you're going. A lot of the patterns and stuff, they were off of a lot of the patterns that he would show you, and a lot of his, it's just his picking side. Just a lot of the techniques, It's has to do with what he showed me back then. And Suicide Solution, I'm getting to. I play for like 3 or 4 minutes in the solo section. So I'm just gonna that part. I'm gonna do in between my my style and what he what he did. So I'll try and do like a lot of the weird patterns that he showed me, a lot of diminished and stuff.
Was that a pretty big part of what he did?
Diminished. Well, everything, yeah.
Yeah.
That was he always would come up with these weird phrasings and notes, end on a weird note, and you're just going, whoa,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned you have a pretty strong right hand. Did that come from hanging with Randy, or was that just?
Yeah, and just practicing, like a lot of the patterns that he showed me, and I just over the years developed, my right hand is, really, one of those just precise, just real strong right hand.
I mean, could you describe in any more detail? I know it's a hard question. Most guitar players can't answer. But could you describe a little more what your right hand technique is, how you hold the pick, and
just a lot of alternate picking. What I'm using those copper picks.
No kidding.
Too, which for me it's a lot more attack on the strings. I mean, you
copper pick.
Yeah, you'll eat the strings up. I mean, it beats them up, but and then between that copper pick and then just alternate picking, it just really I mute a lot too. I mute the strings a lot.
So when you mute, you're sort of resting your right palm on the bridge.
Yeah.
And what kind of bridge do you? What kind of bridge do you use?
I've got on my older Strats. They're old. Floyd Roses.
Floyd Rose.
They're pretty old. The real old ones.
Yeah. So when you were taking lessons back with Randy, were you by then playing Fenders?
No. I had a couple Les Pauls back then too. And I just experimenting with guitars. I just like the way the Fenders feel and that whole thing. That's why I've been just playing them for like my old Charvel's, like it's got the Fender headstock and
yeah, right.
And it's just got like the Fender type of body. So I've just been really used to that, that style.
So we talked about bottoms, tops. Did we talk about heads? Did you say Marshalls? Build Marshalls. And do you use?
I've got all old '70s cabinets. They're with the 25-watt Celestians.
Right, those are the cool ones too, right?
Yeah, and the old checkered grill gray ones.
Yeah. And how many bottoms do you use live?
I'm playing through 3.
3?
Yeah.
That's interesting. And how many tops?
I'm using an H&H power amp to drive the heads too.
I see.
So, because you're playing up against. I went to rehearsals and I walk in the rehearsals and there's Geezer set up, man, and that guy he's got an incredible tone. It's so heavy and so loud and ballsy. And I walked in the rehearsal and there was like 8 Marshalls stacked, or 4 stacked 8 cabinets sitting there, and I was like, oh god, here it goes. Better get the power amps in here.
So I mean, does Ozzy give input? Joe, listen. Geezer's doing his thing. We need some more guitar here.
They've been. Ozzy's been he's a really great person.
Yeah, he is. I've met him several times. He's very good guy.
He's been great.
Mm-hmm.
He's even telling me, like in Suicide Solution, I'm playing longer in those, and he's just be yourself, do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's really cool. He's really he just lets you do your thing. Let you dress the way you want to dress. He just, do your thing.
So he didn't want a Randy Rhoads clone. I mean,
well, when I first came in, they made you have to learn this stuff the way it's
sure.
You got to learn it the way it was.
Sure.
And then as time goes and he sees what you could do, they start letting you. It's like I was working on I was showing Geezer one of my new. I have a riff that. In 7-time, and I was showing Geezer it, and then I was doing this weird guitar thing over it. Ozzy got up and started singing to it, and so you just, as time goes on, you start getting to, show them what you could do, and you start doing your own thing, and
right.
They start letting you, I feel real comfortable with it. I just go up
there
and play. Yeah.
But I mean, it must be.
They make you feel comfortable with it. They're like
Yeah, yeah,
really encouraging.
yeah, yeah. No, I've met Ozzy. He's actually a very sweet guy. I mean, he can be a little outside at times, but he's basically he's a good guy. And I don't think
great.
yeah.
He's a really normal guy. I mean,
yeah, he is. He
I
is.
sit there and talk to him, and it's just like, wow, he's really good person.
So I mean, being in Ozzy's band, I guess there are two ways you can look at it. One, it's probably the gig of a lifetime for most guitar players. Secondly, there has to be an immense amount of limelight that is put on you, and it's like you got to come through and do your thing. I mean, do you think about that at all?
When I'm going to get my chances when I get to play on a record with them. That's when you can be yourself,
right?
And when you get to write with them and do your thing,
right?
Until then, you're playing live and you're playing for people. And sure, like all the Sabbath songs, I'm kind of, and a lot of I'll keep them open. I kind of improvise in a lot of the solo sections of those. I'll each night you just screw around, do whatever you want to do.
Right.
But a lot of the songs that the people want to come and hear, kids want to come and hear, you got to do it the way, like Mr. Crowley and Goodbye to Romance, and I don't know. You got to play those, Flying High. I mean, how could I ever change that solo?
Yeah.
You
Right. Does Ozzy's solo songs tend to get more response than the Sabbath songs live?
Well, you know what we're doing? We got a Sabbath medley we're doing right now where we're doing Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath into Iron Man, and then into Sweet Leaf, and then Children of the Grave. And man, it gets a really good response.
It does.
Yeah. Well, we've only done one show, but man, they were really going. They're really getting into it.
Wow, that's amazing. So I mean, let's back up a bit. I mean, how did Ozzy first contact you for the gig?
About a year ago, Mike Inez, when they were, I guess, doing the record or writing with people, I guess Mike Inez called me and told me that they were checking people out. And
I'm sorry, Mike Inez?
Yeah.
And he is?
He was the bass player that was with Ozzy.
Oh, I see.
Back then. Now he's in Alice in Chains.
Right. Oh, yeah, I thought that was the name. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So back then, I ended up, playing. He ended up calling me and telling me about it. So, but I was in a band in LA that we were doing some demos for Warner Brothers. So I couldn't, I was kind of in the middle of doing that thing. So
I understand.
I didn't. I was staying with what I had, and then they called about Dean Casanova called me, the drummer, about 3 months ago, and told me, come on, we're checking. He knew about me and stuff, and I guess I got recommended from a few people to him, and so Dean called me, and we were just starting to showcase and do our thing, and then, but I wanted to go do it. Out of any gig, if anything, if I ever had to play with somebody, this would be it for me.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's. And then about a month and a half ago, or 2 months ago from about now, they called again. Dean called, and I went down and just played. And I did I Don't Know. And then the second song I think I did was Mr. Crowley. Then I did Bark at the Moon, and then I did Crazy Train, and that was it. That day, I was
really?
Welcome aboard.
Wow. So you had done your homework.
But yeah, I just went in there and played. I learned the songs a couple days before and went in and just played, and it felt good, it felt real natural. I was having fun with it. You just got to go in and have a good time with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, is Ozzy's music, is it difficult for a guitarist? Is it simple? I mean, is it open? I mean, does it take some concentration? And
I don't know. For me, since I took lessons from Randy and stuff, it was, maybe it made it so it was better for me. I was more accustomed to that style than any that, like, even some of my old bands. If you would have heard it, it was like the old Blizzard of Oz type of bands.
Really,
that type of riffs.
What
picking and all that stuff.
I'm sorry, say that again.
A lot of the double picking riffs. Notes and the augmented and diminished stuff.
I mean, were you in any bands of note? Before Ozzy, and any bands that recorded or did anything? Excuse my stupidity if you were, because I'm not sure here.
Yeah, well, I did. I was in just LA bands that were just, I was in a band that we had to end up changing the name right before it. Before I did this, it was called Dogma, but we couldn't use it. There was a band in New York that was using it, I guess. And
I see.
I was in a band called Tariff years ago that was like real.
Tariff?
Yeah, Terriiff. Real Blizzard of Ozish. And then and in '89 I ended up doing the tour for David Lee Roth.
Right. And I, which is going to be my next question. I understand that you had, was it some hand problems or?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No.
It wasn't. I think somebody else had played with him and had some hand problems.
Well, no, yeah. Jason Becker that did the record.
Jason Becker.
Enough,
right.
He got ill, and I got called in to do the tour for him.
So what was that like?
I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot. You know, Dave is really a smart guy.
Very smart guy.
He knows a lot about music.
I mean, did you have any feelings? Oh shit, you know, I'm in Dave's band and the Van Halen thing. I mean, was there that kind of pressure on you at all, or was it just like, let's just go in and play?
Yeah, I just, it was a challenge for me because I never really had played, that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Ozzy stuff, it was real, it was, I came in there, it was like, whoa, okay, this is, screeching the street, just having fun with it. But Dave, I mean, it opened my eyes. I mean, playing songs like Gigolo and stuff, it was a really good experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I mean, it really, for playing, man, it really, opened your eyes to other styles.
Right.
Which was a lot of, the Steve Vai stuff. It was a lot of, a lot of fun learning those.
Yeah, things. Right. So, I mean, is Dave different than Ozzy? I mean, it seems like he'd be the opposite end. I know Steve pretty well. It seems like he has a real firm grasp on what he wants from a guitar player. I mean, is that true?
Who?
Steve Vai. Dave Lee Roth, I'm sorry.
They both know. I mean, they're both, know what. They both are really. They know what they're going for. Those guys are. They've been around. And they do what they want to do.
Yeah.
They're really. They're both of them are. They're really cool.
Yeah. A question I want to get out of the way right now is, why aren't you on the album?
Of the Ozzy one?
Yeah, Ozzy's record.
Now I wish I would have joined 11 or 12 months ago. I would have been on it.
You would have been.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I keep on saying that to me, too. They're going to do a greatest hits record that's going to come out next summer, I guess. They were talking to me about, and they're going to put 3 new songs on that. So they said I'm going to get to do that.
That's great.
For next record. So that's when I'm going to get in. I think they're going to bring a recorder out on the road so we could, because I've already showed Ozzy a bunch of riffs, and he seems like he's really into them. He started singing one of them.
Really?
When I was showing Geezer this one part, and they ended up recording it, putting it on tape.
That's great.
Put this down, so.
That's great.
I think it's gonna, it's gonna be fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we talked guitars, amps, effects. So do you have a rack per se, a Bradshaw type system, or is it just a couple things here and there on the ground and you stomp them?
Not even just the wall on the ground.
Really?
I've got that Deja vibe that my tech is clicking on those parts of that song.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the rack.
I see.
But it's a foot pedal type of. It's like a Univibe. Are you familiar with those?
Sure.
Yeah, it's really good.
Mm-hmm. And so, what kind of wah is it?
I'm using an old Vox wah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So one of the original ones.
The 846.
Which I always thought were the best. I mean, I just love
the
it.
thing has got a great tone. real, just. I love it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, did you listen? I'm sure you did, to what Zach, had done with Ozzy, and did you use that as any kind of an input at all?
What like the Zach songs are you talking about?
Yeah, just the stuff that Zach played. I mean, just listen to what he did, and take some stuff. I'm not saying stealing or copying, but just listening and
when I play, we do like Desire, and we do No More Tears, and I play. You got to keep those pretty much the same.
Yeah,
go off a little bit maybe, but I respect his playing a lot too. He was he attacked the guitar. He was really good.
Zach's incredible. I mean, he's. You must pat Ozzy on the back for really being able to come up with guitar players that really fit what he does. I mean, that's really a skill. I mean, every time he just finds these guys, and it works.
I'm having fun with it. I get along real good with him, and I think he's really into it. It seems like he's really,
Yeah. So the one live show you did was that one of the Monsters of Rock shows?
No, we just play. We've been rehearsing to go tomorrow. We leave for Mexico.
Oh, really?
2 shows, out there, and then we're going to go do, I think, those Monsters of Rock. But we were rehearsing in Austin, and we rehearsed for 5 days, and then we did a show here at the place we're playing, which is about a 3,000 seater or whatever. They just packed them in, and we just did it. So
wow,
it's good as and we've only rehearsed like a couple weeks, so
unbelievable.
it's just like it's just like happened real fast, And I had to learn so many songs.
I bet.
So I've been like the last month and a half learning 30 or 40 songs, and then
wow,
kabam, they picked a set and said, let's do it. So you're just going out there. So, but it was fun. I had a blast.
I mean, are you one of these people who tend to pick up the guitar all the time and practice and play and go through your exercises or whatever you call them? I mean, are you one of the types of people, or do you just pick it up 5 minutes before you go on stage?
No, I love playing.
You do, so you're playing all the time.
I'm always working on something. Yeah, I love to play.
That's great. Do you play any acoustic at all?
Yeah, but I'm not doing it with this. We're like in Mama, I'm Coming Home. And a couple of songs I click up under the front pickup of the Strat. Run a little chorus.
Right. Kind of a fake acoustic sound. Well, not fake, but
it's more to me. I just love that tone, that that single coil sound. For those songs, but
yeah. Yeah, cool.
I mean, I'll do whatever it takes if we want to, they want to do acoustic, whatever, anything,
sure,
everything.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, what is it like playing with the rhythm section of Dean and Geezer?
Man, it's great.
Is it cool? Because Dean is an amazing. I think he's a very underrated drummer. I mean, I think he's incredible.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
And I mean, with those two guys playing, I mean, it makes it even, it makes it real easy and fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
They lock it in as it is. They set such a groove down that you're just, how can you go out? You just hang in there with them. It's fun.
Right.
I really love playing with them.
Right.
Playing with Dean too. He beats his drums up. I beat the guitars up. So we got basically the same sort of styles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We go up there and attack it.
Right. I mean, what kind of strings do you use?
I use Diodarios.
What gauge?
I'm using Well, see, I was using 10s, and now I put 9s on. And I'm experimenting. I'm seeing what I'm going to do with it. But I've been using 9s lately.
I see.
But for the last couple of years, I was using 10s.
I see. And Rick Wakeman is in the live show?
No, John Sinclair is playing.
Oh.
The keyboards?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Oh, Rick's not in the band. Where's John from?
He was in Uriah Heep, and I think he's done a lot of stuff with Ozzy before.
I see.
I think he's done a few of the tours and stuff.
I see.
He's really, really talented guy too.
He is.
Oh man, really good. Really, so it's fun. I mean, you're playing with these guys. It's just like sometimes you're looking over. I mean, you're playing like War Pigs or something. You're playing these songs and you're looking over, watching Geezer's fingers flying. Oh wow! And Ozzy standing there singing. It's
Yeah, I remember Geezer, his fingers, and I think the guy from 10 Years After also, you just watch his fingers and they were like everywhere. Yeah. That's great.
Are you from L.A.?
Well, I'm originally from St. Louis, but I've been out here for, about the last 150 years, so basically an L.A. guy. You're from L.A.?
Yeah, I was born in New Jersey, but I've been...
Oh, really?
Yeah. I moved out to L.A. when I was like 4 or 5, and then I moved back there when I was like, I think, around 13 or 14 for a couple of years, and then moved back here, back to LA.
Yeah. So you essentially like playing in a trio situation. I understand there's a keyboard player, but it's really a guitar-based drums. I mean,
because there's a lot of breathing room. And with those two guys, they lay it down so heavy and so nice. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's thick, it's fat sounding.
It is big.
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
Could you run down real quick if you mentioned earlier that you've been tweaking, you have some downtime, you've been tweaking your cabs and stuff. Could you run down sort of maybe the settings that you use like on a live show? I realize it'll change, venue to venue, but is there kind of a basic Joe Holmes?
No, it's basically the I've got those Jose heads that have they got a really thick tone to them, as it is, and then I'm just running a little bit of delay with them. The middle cabinet I'm running dry with the two outer cabinets wet because it gives it that thick tone, and then you got that signal, that dry signal coming, which you need.
I see.
Makes it.
I see.
Or you don't need it, but it makes it. It just kind of offsets it.
Right.
And then I'm using the chorus for the parts of the songs that that you need to use it on, and then the Deja vibe, and then the wah. I use the wah. Use the wah on some of the Sabbath songs, and part of Suicide Solution.
Right. Right. So then you're pretty much a purist in that approach then.
Yeah, I love it.
Have you always been like that?
Yeah, I like to plug in and play. Just let it, get that, get a nice good tone, and then the way you mute and the way you attack your guitar, really helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
The pick, those copper picks, man, they really.
Really, that's funny. It's because I know a couple of people. I know Brian May uses the English penny and a couple people, but it seems like it would take some getting used to because there's really not much give in the pick at all. And
so if we were in LA, I could have brought a practice amp over and just showed you some techniques and some different stuff.
Yeah, that would have been great.
I've been in LA. I did a few interviews out there.
I know. I've been.
I wish it would have been like last month. I was there.
Well, I've been calling for a month, but what life's like. 3 weeks at least. But I'm just I'm glad to be able to speak to you.
Well, we can hook up when I'm out there, anyways.
That'd be terrific. Terrific. So you obviously you've listened to Ozzy's stuff. What do you think? So Oz, I look at Ozzy's last record as No More Tears. That's how I see it. Does this new record bear any resemblance to that one?
No, this one, I really like it a lot. Man, how can I explain? What would I don't even have a copy of it yet. I had roughs that I learned the songs from, but I don't have any mixed copies of it yet. But it was like they used the Soundgarden producer.
Right. Yeah, I've read that here.
Yeah. Sometimes they have those like the Black Hole Sun type of sounds, like the Leslie type.
Yeah. Right.
And then they get to some real heavy, thick grooves sometimes. Really. And then Ozzy's melodies sound great.
So he's singing good.
Oh yeah.
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 That's cool.
Yeah, he's in really good shape too. He's been really working out.
That's great.
Yeah, he's in really good shape.
That's great. What are your feelings about playing in a per se rock band in an age where I don't know what you want to call it, grunge or alternate or whatever, or Nirvana are the bands that seem to get the focus. Do you think about that at all?
Well, I see that, and that's why I think that's one thing that they like about me is hopefully I could bring a little bit of that to them too.
Oh, really?
I'm really into all that, like the Alice in Chains and Sound.
You are?
And all that. I love those bands.
Huh.
So, yeah. I think I could really bring a different side. Hopefully. When we get into writing, we'll see.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Some of the riffs that I have, I think, I'll bring a different side to them. And still do that. I got so much ideas that I want to run by them.
Right.
I just can't wait to get in and start writing with them.
Right. That's cool.
So whenever we get to do that, we'll just get in there and write a bunch of songs and see what they come out.
You bet.
Yeah.
In the back of your mind, maybe in the front of your mind, is there the, I want to do the Joe Holmes solo record? Is that a desire at all?
I've always, it's like, I've always just wanted to do something I'm really proud of. And I know, if I ever had to pick, a singer, it would have been, all grown up, it would have been Ozzy anyway.
Really?
And like all these other guys, a lot of these newer bands, too, they're all influenced by that old Sabbath stuff.
Oh, definitely. Soundgarden. It's just like, Zeppelin, Mach 2.
So I'm like, I really think I would get to be myself and do something that I would be so proud of if I, doing a record with them to where, why would you want to do a solo record if you were doing, getting to do what was representing you anyways,
So, once you start the Monsters of Rock tour, do you think in your mind, maybe not consciously, but is there that feeling of, and it could be a friendly thing, but that friendly kind of competition of, I got to show these other guys that Ozzy picked the right guy. I mean the Megadeth guys, or do you know what I mean? Just kind of, I got to really do this thing here.
No, I'm just going to go up there and I'm just going to go do my. I'm just going to go up there and play, do my thing, and
Yeah, cool.
I'm not going to. I don't really worry about. When I went and did the Dave thing, we went to Europe and stuff, and Steve Vai and Eddie are rated, number one or whatever.
Right.
Like really hot. Everybody really respects them out there, and it was good. That was good for me to go out there and play, get in front of those crowds and play and stuff. And so I kind of just go up there now and just got to go up there and have a good time with it. And hopefully they're going to, like the other night, man, I got a great response. It was fun.
That's great.
You do your thing, and not everyone will like you, but
Well, you can't fool all people all the time, but you can fool some of the time, something like that, right? But I mean, your career is.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go up there and kick the shit out of the guitar, beat them up, man, beat them up. I feel good with it. To really play the stuff, I'll do a good job with it.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I mean, Ozzy's no dummy. I mean, he's not gonna.
Yeah.
He's not gonna pick a B player,
No.
with Ozzy. I mean, it's all A guys. I mean, he's got that.
They checked a whole bunch of guys out too.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
This whole year, so I mean, I feel good about it. I mean, I want those guys to come and watch.
You do.
Fans. Oh, heck yeah.
That's cool.
And I respect. I'd rather go see a good guy than someone that's not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When I go see a band or a guitar player, I'd rather see someone that that's inspiring. That's gonna make me go home and want to play the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really feel that competition thing with them. I'm just gonna go out there and do my thing.
Yeah, that's great. One thing I didn't ask you, do you know what kind of mics they use on your cabinets?
No, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what they're using.
Just curious. So then
this is for Japanese magazines?
Yeah, Japanese magazines. So
they're really into Randy out there.
Oh,
and Ozzy.
They adore him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're going out there. You gotta like those Randy songs, which we're doing a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta play them the way they want to hear them.
Yeah. Joe, you didn't play the lick like Landy. What's wrong with you? Yeah. Yeah. Which is funny. I mean, Japan just embraces this type of music, or they seem to, so much more than this country does. And then it was just, it was always used to be the opposite. And it's a little bit disparaging. But, I think it takes somebody of Ozzy's stature to, maybe turn that around. In fact, the other day I just did an Angus Young interview, and he was, his record's coming out. So, you get these kinds of bands coming out, and these records do well, which they will.
Yeah.
And maybe all of a sudden you have, kind of like that early 70s thing. I don't think it'll ever be like that again, but, you hope so. I mean, I do an interview with Babes in Toyland, and it's like I talk for 15 minutes, and it's like, what do I say to her? I don't know how to relate to her, and it's not even the playing, and she just their roots are I don't know what it is. It's misplaced or something. I can't. I don't know how to talk to them. I mean, you mentioned Randy. Mentioned Zach. I mean, did you listen to Tony Iommi's stuff with Sabbath? I mean, his rhythm stuff. I always thought was great.
You know who I was influenced to that I really liked back, and now that we're just talking about this, like when I was growing up, I used to try and learn a lot of. I'd sit in the garage and pick off. I loved the UFO Strangers in the Night record, that live record. Got Michael Schenker on that record. That was really great.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite records.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys. UFO. I mean, they were pretty big. When they had their moment in time.
Yeah.
Michael's a funny guy. I mean, you can listen to him. I've heard him play nights that you'd think, my God, this guy's never even played guitar.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he'd be better than most people, but you know what he's capable of, and you think, what the hell is he doing? And it was good, but it wasn't what you wanted.
I never got to see him live.
You never did?
No.
Well, I have a feeling they're going to be back around.
Yeah, but that one record, that was incredible. You know, that Stranger Than Night record.
Why was that? Do you think?
I just loved his whole, just everything. The melodies he played, just everything, his tone, everything. The songs, they were great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. They always had great songs.
That live, everything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in general, do you think you could say that you've been influenced more by the English side of things than Americans?
No, I'm influenced with I like a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of I love a lot of the stuff that's out right now. I'm really into everything. I've been I like U2 a lot. I like Edge, man. Like the stuff that the melodies and all the different effects that he uses.
Mm-hmm.
He's incredible.
Interesting guy, definitely.
Yeah, and like that Dave Navarro, the Jane's Addiction. I like him a lot.
Interesting. They're a little hard for me to listen to after about 10 minutes, but I can understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I want to hear him with the Chili Peppers. I can't wait to hear what that sounds like.
Chili Peppers are on the Monsters of Rock tour, right?
I don't know.
I think they are. So if you had the opportunity to jam with, one of these guys, Dave Navarro, I mean, you'd be up for something like that.
What do you mean jam?
Well, I mean, the end of the last song, and they bring everybody out, and everybody's playing. Yeah. Because there's a lot of guys. No, man, I'm not going to play with anybody else. It's Ozzy, and that's it. And it's a pretty weird attitude. I mean, I've talked to a lot of guitar players, and you'd be surprised. Yeah.
But they just don't.
Yeah, man. It's just they think maybe at one time in life they were very big and making tons of dough, and the world revolved around them, and then all of a sudden, it's 10 years later, and they really don't mean much, and they should seize the opportunity, but they don't, and it just works in reverse. It hurts them, and people look at them and say, well, why wouldn't he jam with Nirvana or whatever? It's funny. It's a funny business. I mean, it's just.
I just love playing. You know what you got to do is you got to really look at it and do it for the reasons that you picked it up for when you were 15 and 16, when you just loved playing.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have a good time with it.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your interest going, keep learning stuff, and just to have a good time with it.
So if you hadn't have landed the Ozzy gig, you'd still be out there slogging it with everybody else and trying to get your own band signed and doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were. It was a really different type of band too that I was doing. It was. It wasn't much flying off guitar stuff. It was more of just effects and working with noises. And I started screwing around with like the old '70s pedals and just experimenting.
Really?
Just experimenting. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was having a good time, but then this stuff, it's back to playing a lot of solos and stuff. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
So there is a lot of soloing in the live show. For you,
well, and all the way that all the solos are.
Yeah.
It's pretty much he's not. We haven't right now been doing like a drum solo, guitar solo thing.
Right.
Which is kind of cool. It doesn't matter with that.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of been over with too.
Yeah.
The flying off, showing what you could do.
Right.
I'd rather playing the song too. So me and Dean are, in Suicide Solution, I'll kind of do. I'm going to go back to the amps, make it feedback a lot. Kind of keep it open too.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's a thing that you're doing. Try different things.
Sure.
So you're not bored of, always doing the same little thing.
Right. How much? Tremolo bar stuff do you do? I mean, is that a?
I'm really not doing any.
Really?
I don't use the bar on it. I'll grab it back at the bridge and when I need to use it, and just do like the dive bombs or making it feedback. I'll go back to the amps and just let the grab the back bridge and just flop it down and make it and then go up high on the neck and just make it scream.
I see.
I love doing stuff like that.
I see. So it sounds like you'd almost be happy if you took the bar off entirely and just played the strats.
Well, the bar's not on there. I'm just using it for the locking down, and the fine tuners on it.
Oh, you mean there's physically no bar on there at all?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't even use it.
So none of that.
I just grab the back of the bridge and just yank on it.
Yeah. So none of those players ever intrigued you, or did you feel that it had been done to death, or what was that? What was the reason for that? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, there's time and place for it all, but I don't know. I don't know. I never really got, never really was much on the using the whammy bar.
Right.
I love those old Floyd Roses. Just they stay, just for stay up there for a few songs.
Sure.
In tune,
Sure. I mean, would you say your sound is different than say Randy's?
Also, you know what I was going to tell you too?
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
With the Floyd Roses, I have them to where they don't go back at all too.
Oh, really?
I mute a lot, so it's I've got a block in there to where it. So then, if you snap a string too, the guitar's still in tune. You could still play the rest of the song. Without it going, all out of tune.
Right. Ask you. Oh, your tone. I mean, is there any resemblance of your tone with Randy's? I mean, because you were influenced by him so much. I mean, would people listen to you and listen to Randy and say, "Oh, your guitar sounds like Randy"? I mean,
it's pretty. I don't know. You're gonna have to hear it. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Like the people that the response from like even this one, they were like, man, it was they really liked it. They really gave it justice to some of those songs.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm into. It sounds really good. It sounds really good.
It does.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does.
Yes, it's a thick tone, and it's really. I go into the chorus. It sounds really close. It sounds really good.
Mm-hmm.
He used it in a different setup. He used the MXR boxes and stuff.
Right.
But it's really, it's a good sound. It's kind of in between a mall or something. I don't know. It's my own tone. I don't know. It's I've been playing with this, these old Jose heads for years now.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10 years. I've had a bunch of old.
Wow.
Yeah, I met him when I was, back then, right after I was taking lessons from Randy.
Did Randy turn you on to Jose?
No, another guy did. Some other guy did. Another friend of mine. It was an old singer that I used to play with. He brought me down there to see him.
So what types of things did Jose do?
What I love is like the old Van Halen records. That he did. That Jose sound, that Eddie tone, Eddie tone. That was
That was
really
pretty
cool.
scary, yeah.
Pretty thick Marshall tone,
Yeah. So I mean, so Van Halen is someone you've listened to as well. I mean,
well, I never really learned any songs. When I did the Dave thing, I had to learn the songs, and man, I really respect Eddie, man. A lot of those old Van Halen songs, just the way he, his vibrato and the way he bent the strings, and the way he his the chord phrasings and stuff.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really good.
Yeah.
Really good. So I mean, I had a lot of learning them. I got a lot of respect for him. It was like, wow, a lot of fun. Almost threw the guitar out the window when I learned Gigolo, man. That was a hard song. All the jazz chords.
Yeah,
but after you learned it, you were like, wow, man. I was glad I learned it after I did, But it took me a whole weekend just to pick off the chords and, just working on that. Which was good, Dave would push you in different spots too,
Yeah.
Learning different styles. So it's all been a learning. It's all been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Learning all the different styles.
I mean, that's
then you incorporate it and you do your own thing, and it helps you to find out what you're about.
Exactly.
I mean, I encourage that. People, you learning off of records. When I was growing up, that's what I did a lot of. Like the Strangers in the Night record. I really was into that a lot. I used to sit in there for a couple of days trying to pick off like the Rock Bottom live lead, the whole solo,
Really? So listening to records was almost as important as hanging with Randy and stuff.
Well, no. The thing is I went to try. I didn't take that many lessons. I'd go to a couple different people, and they never really. Everyone had a different formula, and it kind of would confuse you. So I would go back and I would listen up to the records, and just like that UFO record. I used to learn a lot of that type of stuff.
Right.
And then I met Randy and took lessons from him, and man, that was it. I mean, he was definitely my biggest influence, biggest inspiration. I mean, he was the perfect guy for someone like me, young, growing up, to look up to. You know, you know, people idolize people, and I'm not really into that. So, you know, but he was, for me, growing up and wanting to be like someone or take out after someone, or just, he was such a good person.
So
he was a really, real nice guy.
It's funny. I mean, I never had a chance to meet him.
Oh, you really liked him a lot.
So I guess he was one of these people who, besides being able to play, was able to pass on this information to other people, which is a skill unto itself. I mean,
yeah, he just had a really good way about himself. You know, just a really good, just really good person.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, just speaking to you. I mean, I've never met you, but I mean, I know Zach pretty well, and Tony Iommi I know very well, and Steve Vai I know pretty well, and these singers, I think, besides wanting a guitar player who can obviously play the songs, have their own identity, there's got to be a certain sort of personality involved there. I mean, I can just tell by speaking to you instantly that you would get along immediately with Ozzy.
Yeah.
You know, which isn't to say you can't have your own ideas. And Ozzy, no, check this out, man. I can, try this. But it's more than just being a player, because I mean, the reality is
yeah, you gotta get along.
Yeah, you gotta get
have
along
fun with it too. You know, you gotta get along with people too. I mean, I don't know. You gotta treat people the way you want to be treated.
Exactly.
You can't. You just gotta go out there and And he is so lean. He's such a good person. He encourages me. He's go ahead. I'll show him riffs. He makes me want to show him riffs. I'll come up with a riff. I'll show. Like be just playing it at rehearsals or whatever, and he'll start singing a melody to it. And so you're just like, wow, man, I got to show him this thing.
Yeah.
I was down there earlier today showing John Sinclair a riff.
Mm-hmm.
He was into it, man. It's like, now I got to show it to Ozzy.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does playing with a keyboard player, though your first choice is a trio, I mean, does playing with a keyboard player open up things for you as a guitar player? I mean, like a keyboard player, put pads behind.
Yeah, I mean, I always think that Ozzy they always had keyboards in the right places, Don't you think with Ozzy?
Yeah, he used them great. Absolutely.
It's never, never too much and never too little,
Yeah, he used them perfectly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've always loved the way he's done it. And then when I, the Dave tour, the piano player and the keyboard player in there was great. Brett Tuggle, man. That guy,
he's scary too.
Oh man, it's such a good blues player and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that a whole other style, but really, he's so talented,
Yeah.
It was really,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good for you to play with these type of guys.
Absolutely. So what happened with Dave? I mean, what caused that not to go on?
No, I just did the tour.
So you were just called in for the tour, and that was it.
I did. Yeah, I did the guy got sick, and I came in and did the tour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what was the next record he did?
I'm not sure. He did another record.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, the fact, you have a guy doing the tour, playing the songs, and you think, well, it's an obvious choice, let the guy play on the record, but, who knows? I mean, does Ozzy ever talk about Sabbath? I mean, the old Sabbath songs, or talk about what Tony used to play, or his feelings about the band? I mean, does he bring that up at all?
Well, I'm not really. I mean, he's not. He's just. I mean, he if you ask him, he'll talk about, that's one thing and that guy, he has nothing bad to say about anyone.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good, when he talks about, like, even Sabbath, man, he talks good about him,
Mm-hmm.
Whenever he mentions it to me, about, some of the riffs. I mean, man, those guys wrote some heavy, great riffs.
They were amazing.
They did. And he's got Geezer with him now, so that's.
Yeah, that must be pretty interesting.
Yeah. And Geezer, he's a really nice guy too.
Yeah, Geezer's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
So I mean, it feels good.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been real. I've only been in there a little bit, but it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to take things day by day, and
Well, that's the truth.
Have fun with everything, and hope
That is the truth. So, what are the near future plans for the band then?
What are the future plans?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're going to be doing a lot of touring. That's what's right now, and then
The Monsters of Rock tours, essentially.
Yeah, and then we're going to do, I think, like 15 shows in the States. Just like this type of place. Just I think where they pack them in 3,000 or 4,000. Just like the Palladiums types.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's going to go to Europe. I think in November, do the European tour, and
Mm-hmm.
then American tour on December 31st. So pretty busy.
I guess.
Yeah. And then hopefully we'll be writing.
Mm-hmm.
See what we all come up with.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know you've only done the one live gig, but have you been in a situation where somebody might have yelled out, "Oh, where's, I don't know, where's Zach? Where's, I mean, do you get any of that?"
No, I got really. I mean, everybody that came up, they were all like really blown away. They seemed like they were really into it.
That's
I
great.
didn't get anything negative, thank God.
Well, I'm sure you're playing.
But you will. I mean, you can't. You just got to go up there and you just got to do it. But no, it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and man, people were just going nuts out there.
They were.
Oh yeah, because it was it's like only I think there was 3,000. They can only let 3,000 in this place, and it was just packed and just they were going nuts.
So do you get the feeling that it's that maybe people needed Ozzy to come back? I mean, in other words, they needed this outlet in this singer Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, because Ozzy said, "That's it. I'm not touring anymore. I don't need it." Obviously, he has enough money not to do that anymore. I mean, do you think that people, again, I know you've only done the one gig, but do you think that people said, "Yeah, we"?
I seemed like they were just really happy to see him back.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they were just I mean.
That's great.
I think that he's got he's got those people that that people that love to go watch him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. So when your stint with Ozzy is over, and hopefully that won't be for another 20 years, what would you like people to say that you brought to the game? I mean, how would you like people to look at you and say, "Yeah, this is what Joe Holmes did with Ozzy"?
Hopefully, I could bring take him down another give him another run at it of another hopefully I could just bring something that these other guys have brought to him. I just want to get in there and write and bring something something new to him, hopefully, or I'm just going to do my thing.
Right.
With I've got that maybe some Blizzard of Oz type of influence. I love doing that type of stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would love to bring a little bit of that in there, and with a lot of this new stuff that's going on, I love like we were talking about Soundgarden and Chains and stuff. So hopefully, I could just bring something a little bit different to them too.
So you do a fair amount of writing.
I'm a writer. I love writing.
You do write.
Oh, I'm always coming up with riffs. I'm always and melodies, and so. And I love doing that, and I really want to do something, like I was telling you earlier, something that I'm really proud of, and I think with him I will get to do that.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, have you spoken to Zach at all?
No.
In terms of, somebody doing one guy doing the tour, one guy doing the album, I mean, have you had a chance to speak with him?
I just got called in. I mean, I just went. It's all happened real fast. It just a couple months ago, I just went down and played, then we didn't do anything for like 3 weeks. They told me to learn a whole bunch of songs. Then I came in and rehearsed a couple weeks ago in L.A. for. Well, we had a couple of weeks there, but we only rehearsed. We probably rehearsed about 5 days of those. Getting equipment together and everything, and then we came here and rehearsed 5 days. So it's all happened really, really fast.
That's unbelievable.
And then they gave me like roughs of the new record, and I learned this half of that they wanted me to learn. Whatever songs they told me to learn, just would go learn them. So now. They're feeling the set out, probably just piecing it together.
Right.
We'll, see what songs we end up doing.
Right.
It's a couple hour set, though. It's a long time.
It is?
It's good, yeah. And so, you get up there, it's a lot of fun.
Wow, that's great. I mean, because obviously you must realize you're in a situation that most guitar players would, can't even conceive of being in. And it's, I think things come to people that they deserve, and
you know what, you just got to be. That's what Randy once said to me too. Is you got to be, if you love what you're doing and you're persistent, you just got to keep with it. And usually, you'll get your chance. If you get your chance, just be ready for it when it comes. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you just got to go out there and just have fun with it. Not, you got to love it.
Yeah.
It's got to be a part of you. You know, you got to be doing it, and which it is with me. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
I live it every day. You know, even when I wasn't doing this, I'd be in LA. You know, that was my life. You know, every day you'd wake up, it was something that had to do with music.
That's just so great.
Yeah.
That's so cool because I actually, what I've done actually before I started doing my journalism was I played guitar, but I realized a long time ago I was never going to be a great guitar player. So
you could be. You could have been.
To be honest with you, I think I could have been a very good guitar player, but for some reason I never had that discipline. I turned the discipline more over onto the songwriting thing because I thought, well, I'm going to meet guitar players and I can meet guys who can interpret my stuff and play this stuff 100 times better than I will ever be able to play it. So I turned my whatever skills there were over onto that end, and for me it's the songwriting thing. I mean,
that's great. So you write a lot.
I try, it's great to have a project to write for, and I've had like 5 or 6 songs that have been, cut by bands. They had deals. I mean, bands that never sold anything. A band called Cold Sweat, and a band called Blackthorn, who had a deal in Japan, and a band called Sig Vicky, who released some records. I mean, never sold anything. But, I mean, to me, just sitting and writing is like, that's it for me.
Rewarding for you.
Oh my God!
Yeah, see, that's it. That's good.
You get that feeling. I'm not saying I don't love doing what I'm doing now, because I do. I love talking to guys and picking their brains and doing that thing. But
yeah, well, I wish you would have came, because you could have come when I was in LA. I could have even took you to the rehearsal and you could have heard the tone.
It makes me crazy, because one thing I can't stand is talking to someone and not having heard the record and trying to talk off the top of my head. I mean, I have an idea. I mean, I know it's not going to sound like an ABBA record, but in any event,
there's heavy. There's sometimes it's like real heavy riffs with some of those, like Ozzy, those old Sabbath melodies that he would say.
Really?
And then some Beatles type of melody. He's got it, man. That's one thing that guy does, man. His melodies really stick in your head, Really good melodies.
Yeah, I think he spends a lot of time with that. I mean, I think No More Tears, showed a lot of that. I mean, that really opened up.
Yeah.
Opened him up to a bigger audience. I mean, it was heavy, but again, the way he used keyboards and it was like kind of like that Beatle, that English thing, but it was heavier than shit. And, yeah.
He'll do his thing, but it's always right there with the times too.
Mm-hmm.
It's always Ozzy. It always sounds like him.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what he's doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So when do you come back to LA then? For end of this year, you said?
Yeah, I think he might do like a couple. We might do some shows after the South America thing. Like I think there's going to be one in LA.
I see.
Like
cool.
I think at the Palladium or something. I heard him.
Really?
I'm saying, yeah.
God, that'd be great.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be playing. I don't know where, but we'll be playing.
Yeah, that's great. Well, listen, Joe, I appreciate it very much for you taking the time, man. I know you're working running around and putting amps in order, and but I appreciate it very much. In fact, I've wanted to talk to you for a while, because I have heard your name bandied about. I thought, it's Joe Holmes. Who is this guy?
Yeah. If we were in LA, I could have brought an amp and showed you some stuff.
No, don't even say it. You're making me crazy.
I love doing that anyways.
Do you really?
Oh yeah. With one of the guys I did an interview with out there, I brought we did a photo session. I had to bring my amp to show him some of like the stuff I learned with the Randy, and just which I could have showed you, and some weird like little pattern stuff that I've been working on, just different little things.
Yeah.
Like picking techniques I could have showed you, and so how I'm trying to explain, I could have showed it to you. And
right.
Right. You could have wrote it down.
Yeah. Well, when you're in LA.
Yeah.
We'll put it together.
If because I live in LA, so.
Well, where do you live?
I live in Chatsworth.
Oh, really? Yeah.